Hi, I'm Pooya Mohseni, Iranian-American actor, writer, trans advocate. I'm one of the stars of See You Then, which is a feature drama written by Kristen Uno and Mari Walker, directed by Mari Walker, and I play opposite the fabulous Lin Chen. The story is about two women who haven't seen each other or talked to each other over 15 years, and the movie happens over the course of a night where they get to say a lot of what they didn't say over those 15 years, but I won't tell you what.
And I won't share anything too, because I was blown away by the movie, because I didn't think I would be into the story, but I totally was. When you read the script, what was it that caught your attention, and what made you want to do this project? Because it, on the surface, is something very different than I think what we get treated to, because it's a powerful moment between these two.
I think it's a human story, and we've become so accustomed to bells and whistles attached to movies that we think that that's what would dazzle us. But sometimes an unassuming story about two human beings talking about the most basic human needs, wants, regrets, desires. And I think that's what this movie is. And it doesn't shy away from being just about that. Who these people are, where they were in their life when they knew each other, what has happened in their life since they parted ways, what are their regrets in life, what are their insecurities, their shortcomings, do they measure up to what they want to be, and how they relate to each other now that they're different people. And, you know, it is that. One review had said they talk. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what people do when they haven't seen each other for a very long time, especially when they have that close of a relationship. What gravitated me towards it? It was a very visceral response. When I read the script, I actually read it twice before I said that I would like to be, because, you know, the first part was the novelty, but then the second part, I was like, now I get to. Also, because the first part, I cried so much. I'm like, okay, I need to now read this a second time. And it was because the characters were so fully written. They were alive. They were interesting. And me, as an actor who's an immigrant and who happens to also be trans, there are many times that I get stories where the trans character is kind of like a plot point in somebody else's story, or that they are either written from a fetishized point of view, or they're a token, or they're a villain, or they're a victim. You know, it's kind of like they're either kind of like, you know, on one side of the spectrum or all the way on the other side of the spectrum. But this was a character who I definitely identified with some parts of, but there was also enough difference that I was like, I would like to know how I'm going to be able to do this character justice. And then I emailed with Marie, who's one of the writers and the director, and we talked and we did this Skype. This is before Zoom became a thing. This was before the pandemic. And we spent like 45 minutes on Skype, and it was a whole lot of, and I think this, yes, and that. And we just felt like we, not only artistically, but our vision of what we want to do with our art, what we want to create in the world, what it is that is important to us individually as people. And I was like, yes, we're doing this. And it took a little while. But then when they asked me to go to LA to do chemistry reads for the person who was going to play Naomi, that became very real for me. And when I met Lynn, it started with a handshake, and I just thought she was awesome. But then we also saw a few other people, but it couldn't have been the movie that it is without Lynn. She was dedicated, she was open, and I feel that was true about everyone who was involved. This was a project that needed people to be fully invested. You know, it's an indie film, so not a very high budget, long hours, all night shoots for like 3 weeks. But it's a jewel in my life. You're making me cry. I'm very proud of it in many ways.
Was there a moment on screen or off screen that you did have after that handshake with Lynn that connected you to the point that we see the connection on screen. I never for once felt like this was two actors coming into roles. I almost felt like they did have a relationship. How did that happen?
That was partially very much a credit to the environment Marie created, and she made sure that we had a week before shooting so that we could rehearse, not just Lynn and I, Lynn, myself, Marie, and Kristen. So the writers, the director, and the actors, we get to go scene by scene, line by line, to make sure that the story is continuously moving forward, that it keeps adding as opposed to repeating itself. And then what Lynn and I did was we would text each other. I tried to find what are the things that made the relationship between these two characters special when they knew each other 15 years ago. Because as I looked at it, is you see their heartache, you see the resentment, you see the venom. But if the audience cannot feel the love, if they cannot feel the connection, if they cannot see and tangibly sense the intimacy between these two characters, then why would they care? And that was very important to Lynn and I. So we'd be texting each other like, I think this is the song that was like their song, and I think like for her birthday this is. So we created all of these backstories so that when you saw these characters now, the characters knew where they came from, so that even though the audience didn't see it, they could feel it.
It's completely on screen, which is amazing. So I'm so glad that y'all did that, and whoever came up with that idea.
I don't think it would have been this movie had that not happened.
Exactly. Yeah. What does it mean to be at this festival? Not only for the film, but for you yourself?
When I heard nobody else from the movie was available to come, I was like, I'm going to go. Well, for the film, this is the perfect place for this film. What the Bentonville Film Festival represents, women's voices, all women, all sizes, all colors, all backgrounds, all identities. And to have our film here, it just feels like this is where we belong. And also, I mean, Gina Davis, when I was in Iran, like, she was somebody that I saw, she was somebody that I admired her craft. And as I've grown, and she has also grown as a person and has gone from, being an actor to being an advocate to being the founder of this festival, this journey inspires me as a younger artist. I look to people like her to show me what are things that are available, and then hopefully I can add to it for people that come after me. But also as an immigrant, as an Iranian American woman of trans experience, to be one of the leads in a feature film, to be in a festival. I talked to my mom last night and I said, where I am right now in my life is so beyond what I even dreamt of 20 years ago, that anything that's happening in my life is now just extra. And I'm filled with gratitude. And how I act on that gratitude is that I have opened certain doors to be where I am, and I'm going to hold that door. I'm going to hold that door open for all the people who are either in any of the communities that I represent or any community, because I believe that we can uplift each other, because the world shows us we can also beat each other down. I don't like that as an option. If I can do something, and if I can uplift, if I can encourage, if I can give someone a mirror so they can see themselves in the glory and the uniqueness that they can bring the world, that the world needs to see, being here makes me feel that I can do that. And I will continue to do that. And I will continue to be inspired by people like Gina Davis, by this festival, by the people who tell stories of different groups, that when we come together, when we tell our human stories, we can make the world a better place, and I think that's a better option to choose.
Where did you find the boldness in yourself, do you think, to tell me what you just said, in the notion that you will hold that door open? Because we haven't seen anyone do it from specifically your perspective, Iranian American, transgender. Where did that come from inside you? And
I would say inspiration comes in all forms. I was inspired by the women who raised me, by my grandmother, by my mother, by my great-grandmother, by women who were in societies that did not give them the room to be, and yet they persevered. Those women inspire me. By amazing activists in this country who I have been inspired, who have helped me grow to be who I am, whether it happens to be Alexandra Billings, whether it happens to be Shakina Naifak, whether it happens to be MJ Rodriguez on Pose. These are people who I can say, some of whom are my friends. And when I see their successes, I applaud them because I remember knowing them before that. And when I see them holding the doors, when I see someone like Kamala Harris saying that I may be the first, but I won't be the last, we can take inspiration wherever it comes. And I will take whoever helps me form a notion of the better, bigger, more valuable person that I can be. I will take that inspiration. And that's what I would say to other people. Wherever your inspiration can come from, whatever inspires you to be more of who you want to be and who you are, take it. That's where I get.
Do you mind if I ask what's down the line for you personally and professionally? Can you share with us what those next doors that you've opened?
I don't know if a whole lot personally. I think I have gotten to something. I like who I am. I no longer apologize for being who I am, for taking space up in this world, but I take that space with gratitude and joy, and I try to share that with people. Professionally, I love working with filmmakers who want to tell different stories. I love working with young filmmakers because they just have a different idea about the kind of stories and how those stories are going to be told. Working with women, working with people that just have a different vision of the world, a better version of the world, a more inclusive, kinder version of the world. I'm a New York actor, so theater is so much part of my life. And when I get to work with young playwrights, whether they happen to be queer or Iranian American, and they write a story which focuses on a community, and they ask me to kind of, play with them on those pieces, these are all the things that make my life fuller. So there are things coming down the line. I don't want to jinx anything, but if you're an artist out there, if you're a filmmaker out there, if you're telling a story about the human condition and you want me to be in it, I can be hired at the right price. But I believe in work. I believe that that's what life is for. But work in the sense that, what am I doing to add value to the world around me? It can be something as simple as being kind to someone. It can be something as simple as encouraging someone to do what they want to do but don't have the courage because they haven't been encouraged to do so. It can be learning a new language, just anything to make more. Not just for the pocket, but also for the heart and the mind. That was such an Oprah thing to say.
I love that you went there, though, because it's meaningful. So
well, Oprah and I share a birthday, so maybe that's where it comes out.
Well, I think from one icon to another, if Oprah doesn't hear this, maybe another famous singer may. Would you like to maybe just give a little shout out to one particular person?
Oh, thank you for giving that. Welcome. And today we are presenting you the one, the only, Dolly Parton. Dolly, if you're out there, I love you even though you're not here.
I know that's more for me and everyone else loving that, so thank you for that. Thank you for making this incredible film and being a part of visiting Bentonville with it. I think it's really cool to have that representation. This film blew me away. I didn't anticipate connecting with these two people, and I think you guys have made a very underrated film.
You're going to make me cry, but thank you.
Wow. And I wish you the best. Thank you.
I wish you the best, and I hope our paths cross again many times.
Did you hear that, Dolly? I hope you did.
Yes, Dolly, yes.